Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we are so honored to have on the show with us today is Major General Alfred Flowers. He's the board chair of Reach Resilience. How you doing, Major General?
I'm well, Drew. How are you?
I'm doing great, and we are so honored to chat about all the cool things that you have done and are continuing to do. And I want to thank you for your 4 decades of service, beginning at the ripe age of 17. Is that correct?
That's correct. I enlisted at the ripe young age of 17 and retired at the ripe old age of 63. I spent 46 and a half years on active duty continuously.
Well, we're so proud to have you on there, and thank you for that great service on. And I'm joined by my co-host, Isha Walia. She is an incoming junior at Northeastern University in Boston, and so quite an honor to talk to the Major General. What do you think?
I'm very excited. This is an awesome opportunity.
And, absolutely. So I think you have a question for the Major General out of the gate, do you not?
I do, yeah. Tell me, what's the mission of Reach Resilience?
Well, the mission of Reach Resilience, Isha and Drew, before I answer that question, let me thank you for the opportunity to be on the show this morning and talk about Reach Resilience and a little bit about how we're teaming with Humana and USA on the Face to Fight Veteran Suicide Prevention Program. But the mission of Reach Resilience is to enhance and amplify much of the work that Endeavors has been doing with veteran services for about 53 years now, since 1969. And if I could sum up the mission in just a short statement, I would say that the mission of Reach Resilience is to serve people in communities that are in trouble, in need, restore dignity, and help them to bounce back and reach resilience.
Well, that's an admirable mission, and we all need this in this crazy world. You and I were chatting about that before we went on air, and it seems like everywhere you turn around, we need some of that reach resilience, so to speak, in this area. If I may say that. Let me ask you this: listen, a very storied career, 46 plus years. In the military. Did you come from a military family?
I did not. I came from a family of sharecroppers. I came up in extreme poverty.
Yeah.
My mother was 18 when I was born. My dad was 16, and I was raised by grandparents who were sharecroppers in eastern North Carolina. So I didn't come from a military family, but I had 2 cousins that had joined the military just before I graduated from high school, and I kind of followed them on the journey of the military because I didn't have resources to go to college, no money, had a $300 scholarship, and I knew that there had to be a better way. So I wanted to vacate the poverty and try something else that might prove a better life.
Well, we're glad you took that route. So let's talk about veteran suicide. We've done a military show on Cloudcast Media for many, many years. We work with a group called the San Diego Military Advisory Council, and this is certainly an issue that pops up. But for our listeners who maybe not be so close to this, that is a huge issue in the military, is it not?
That is a huge issue, Drew. And if you will allow me, please, let me just talk a little bit about the state of veteran suicide.
Please.
Since 2001, 120,000 veterans had died by suicide. The suicide rate among veterans is 1.5 times that of the general population, 57% higher than the national average. The rate for males 18 to 34 nearly doubled since 2006, with firearms being the most common method of veteran suicide. It's the second leading cause of veteran death post 9/11, and the 13th leading cause of death for all causes of death of veterans. Over 50% of veterans have no mental issue. There's a myth out there.
Right.
And the myth is that, hey, they have PTSD, traumatic brain injury. They've got some mental illness that's causing them to die by suicide. That is not true. Less than 50% of the veterans that die by suicide have mental health issues. Suicide can happen really fast. And what the experts tell us in the medical world that between 25 and 40% of the attempts decide within 5 minutes, 70% within 60 minutes. So there you go, within an hour from the time that there's an ideation until there's an attempt, about 1 hour on the high side. And but the good thing is 90% of the attempts did not die. And about 75% of those that attempted, there's not a recurrent attempt. So there's some good news after the attempt, but we got to stop the attempts. And 120,000 since 2001. If you put that in a different perspective, which I like to do a lot when I talk about this, if you look at the number of vets that died, military that died in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Vietnam, 65,000 of those three conflicts. You multiply that times two, we get you 130,000. 120,000 have died by suicide over the same period of time of about 20 years. So almost twice as many have died by suicide over a 20-year period than died in the Iraq, Afghanistan, and Vietnam wars.
That is shocking, stunning, eye-opening. I mean, you know this. You're dealing with it in your world there as a board chair on this. We're chatting with Major General Alfred Flowers. He is the board chair of Reach Resilience. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. It's the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 17th year broadcasting from these beautiful Mission-Fed studio in Scripps Ranch, and honored to have the Major General on. And Mission-Fed's been doing great things in San Diego for more than 60 years, joined by my co-host, Isha Walia, an incoming junior at Northeastern University. Isha, before I turn over to you, let me give one quick question to the Major General, and I know you got some things to chat about on Face the Fight. What are, we've talked about this on the show. You'll know this better than anybody. That is quite an acceleration of suicides, and especially with veterans. Is it because in recent years the tours have been longer? There have been more tours. What is some of the cause for the rise in suicide?
Yeah. Let me address that, Drew, and talk about the nature of war and the way. When I was in Vietnam, I served all of 1968 at Da Nang Air Base and went through all 5 of the Tet offensives. In that war, we didn't have much of the technology and the life-saving devices and the protective gear that veterans have today. A lot of people died. 58,000 died in that war.
Right.
Between Iraq and Afghanistan, only about 7,000 between the two. And the difference is that services, the way we can save lives on the battlefield due to resources, due to technologies, and protective gear that the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines are wearing today. But what we see that's so much different, we brought back a lot of bodies from Vietnam. What came back from Iraq and Afghanistan are a lot of folks with mental health issues, PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, loss of limbs, and injuries. And what we're seeing is some of the major causes of this increased veteran suicide rate, or this high rate, is social isolation, loneliness, transitions to civilian life can be difficult, employment, financial issues, relationships, all those things can increase the risk of suicide. So that's why mental health is less than 50%, because all these other things are coming into play. And I had an experience with a young lady that was under my command that went to Iraq, and she came back with a missing leg, one leg. And when the first time I saw her, I said, man, oh man, but she has adapted real well, has had a child, married, and doing very well in the Department of Defense. But so many of the veterans that come back with that are maimed and wounded with
Right.
loss of limb and have PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, don't adopt as well. So
yeah, no, there's no question about that. Isha?
Yeah, I had another question. Tell us about Face the Fight. How does it work, and what are you hoping to accomplish?
let me tell you about Face to Fight. Face to Fight is, for too long, we have relied on the VA, DOD, veteran service organizations, and other organizations that support veterans to deal with the suicide issue. And corporate America have not been on the stage front and center. USAA, one of the 100 Fortune 100 companies, have taken this on and says, hey, it's time for the corporate America to stand up and face the fight, join and help to complement and supplement the efforts, the amazing efforts that DOD and the VA have been doing in this area. USAA knows that there's no simple solution. This is a very complex problem. The goal is to lend a voice and focus to what can be done to initiate change from a corporate and philanthropic perspective. Over the past 18 months, USA have provided resources and a team with the UT Health Science Center here in San Antonio, the VA, DOD, RAND Corporation, and nonprofits to design a philanthropic strategy and identify outcomes necessary to stop veteran suicide. Such things as increase awareness is one of the goals of this Face to Fight, increase awareness, accessibility, and increase resources to organizations that will be working with us. USAA committed $10 million up front. The initial $2.5 million went to grants to nonprofits and the Head Start Project, Ohio State University Foundation, UT Health Science, Stop Soldier Suicide, the Cohen Veteran Network, and the University of Washington Foundation. The remaining $7.5 million will be philanthropic grants in 2023. Initially, we Face to Fight has got committed $41 million for philanthropic grants from nonprofits. That $41 million comes from $10 million from USAA, $6 million from Humana, and $25 million as the initial investment and initial grant from the Reach Resilience to this effort of stopping and reducing veteran suicide. The goal is to decrease it by 50% by the year of 2030. By 2030. In the next 7 years, 6.5 now, decrease it by 50%. So the grant money will go to philanthropic organizations and support nonprofits with specific evidence-based programs. And I highlight evidence-based programs. There are a lot of programs out there where there isn't evidence-based, where we know that if we put money into this program, that it will help reduce veteran suicide. So it focused on evidence-based programs to expand suicide prevention training, provide more qualified clinicians, and other tools to VSOs and other organizations supporting veteran suicide prevention.
Yeah, what's great about that, what you just said, Major General, spoken like a true Major General on the battlefield, and that you want data. You want this data-driven as the evidence-based. That is so spot on, without question.
Yes, sir.
We come back from break. We're going to chat more with Major General Alfred Flowers, who's the board chair for Reach Resilience. I know, Isha, you got some more questions for him on this Face the Fight. And we also save time in the second half of the interview, Major General, to what can our listeners do to support your efforts? We all know it's a community. And before I do that, I do want to give a shout out to Humana and USAA. My goodness, what phenomenal, organizations that for I don't know how many years support. The USAA is absolutely on top of its game. But I just wanted to get that out there as well.
And there's one more, Drew, when we come back that I want to make sure we give a shout out to the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. They're doing some phenomenal work with helping us out as well.
We will talk about the Elizabeth Dole Foundation when we come back after chatting with our good friend, Major General Alfred Flowers, Board Chair for Reach Resilience. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 17th year. We're going to be right back with the Major General.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We've been doing this now for 17 years, the nation's longest-running community podcast, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for more than 60 years. It's doing great things for San Diegans. I'm joined by my co-host, Isha Walia, incoming junior at Northeastern University in Boston, and honored to be joined by Major General Alfred Flowers, a board chair for Reach Resilience, a decorated Vietnam veteran, and just continue doing great things, and especially this very important issue of veteran suicide. Before we get too far down the road, we wanted to give a shout out to the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, do we not?
Yes. The Elizabeth Dole Foundation has been doing a lot of work helping us out with opening doors and making contacts, and they sponsored a rollout of Face to Fight for us in Washington, D.C. on the 29th of June, as well as a philanthropic lunch on the 28th, where we had about 150 folks from various communities attend who are interested and may become partners with us or donors in this effort. So great work by the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, and what a team that we have to face this fight of veteran suicide prevention.
That's great. Isha?
Yeah, what's your biggest hope for Face the Fight?
Our biggest hope for Face to Fight is that we reduce the number of suicides, veteran suicides. That's the biggest hope. And the biggest fear is that that this isn't just a now kind of thing. And folks, we put a lot of attention on it now, and folks see it as a high priority and an urgent thing to do now. And 2 years from now, the momentum started to wane. This is, we're in this for the long haul to reduce veteran suicide. And we have to stay after it. And we need a lot of help from the corporate world, from the philanthropic world, from individuals that are interested in this American problem. This is not a DA problem. It's not a DOD problem. It's not a Veteran Services Organization problem. This is our problem as Americans. These folks that are dying by suicide are our sons and daughters that we send off to do whatever the nation calls upon them to do on our behalf as U.S. citizens. And they do it well. They protect us, and now it's time for us to protect them and help in reducing the loss of these great Americans through death by suicide.
No, you're spot on that. You know, you're always sort of reading my mind, and there's nothing in my mind to read anyway, Major General. But, is this the same issue that other countries are facing with their veterans, or is it exacerbated more in the U.S. for whatever reason?
I think other countries are facing it, but I haven't personally looked at how we compare to the other countries. But
Right.
suicide is a challenge, but we think that it's a greater challenge in the U.S. than in other countries. But it's something, Drew, that I need to look into and do some more research on. But
Yeah. I didn't mean to add to your busy schedule. Sorry about that.
yeah, that's okay. That's okay. But the fact that what we're focused on is the fact that the veteran rate is 1.5 times greater than the general population in the U.S. is our focus.
Right. Exactly. Isha?
Yeah, tell us about a story that makes you proud of Reach Resilience.
A story that makes me proud of Reach Resilience. We're proud to have the parent organization of Endeavors as our parent organization. But the story that makes me extremely proud today is the fact that we are able to commit to contributing $25 million over the next 5 years to this veteran suicide prevention effort. That's a lot of money. And the fact that we can do that makes me extremely proud. But what will make me even prouder is when we start seeing the evidence-based results that says the rate is coming down, and it's coming down appreciably, and that we're going to hit a 50% reduction by the year 2030, given the resources that we're putting on it and the areas that we're working in the team that we have with corporate, philanthropic, VA, DOD, and others working this initiative.
This as well as anybody, so much of issues, whether it's veteran suicide or it's, pick a topic, mental health in the country in general is, certainly put to the light by communication. And you really can't do enough to talk about this. You got to talk about it once, you got to talk about it twice, you got to talk about it 215 times and over and over again. Talk how important that is at almost every step, letting people know this is a very, very serious issue.
That is extremely important, Drew. And that's one of the mission goals of Face the Fight is to increase awareness. And that increased awareness is through talking about it. We got to face this fight and talk to people.
Right.
One of the things that's been a real challenge in the military and the stigma around seeking help.
Right.
If you break your leg, you go see an orthopedic. They'll set your leg, and you'll be glad that you did, and you feel stronger after it heals, and glad that you went to see the doc. If you have a mental health issue, it's just the opposite. We worry about the stigma and who will know and how it will be viewed and how we will be looked upon afterwards. We got to get past that. We got to get to the point where we can communicate and folks will accept the fact that it's okay to seek help for issues that's caused by stress. If it's employment, financial, relationships, depression, whatever, it's okay to seek help. Matter of fact, we want you to seek help and not feel like you're weak because you sought help, but to feel like you're strong because you stood up to it and identified that you needed help, got the help, and are doing better as a result thereof. So communication is extremely important. Destigmatizing, increasing awareness through communications, we got to stay on it every day, all the time. And, you didn't ask me this, but I'd like to volunteer. There are a lot of ways that we can help, simple ways that we all can help. And, one of the simple ways that we can help is we can talk about safe storage of weapons, firearms. They go to 70% of the veterans that die by suicide is done with a firearm. We don't want to take away anyone's firearm. We just want to talk about safe storage, and store them in safe places. And if we can, and if you're willing to, put some distance between the ammo and the weapon, so that in that 5 minutes or up to that 1 hour where you have an ideation about suicide, that its accessibility is decreased and it's not so easy. But we support safe storage of firearms, wherever, in homes or wherever. Reach out to people that are experiencing stress. Every day we're around folks, and sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friends, sometimes we're just out in the community visiting with people. And we know that they're stressed. Sometimes they'll tell us about their stress and say, I'm just stressed out. We need to talk to them. What can we do to help? Well, we can have a conversation about stress and safety. If you're stressed, please know that you're safe, and make sure that safety is being considered during your stressful periods. Offer support info such as, if you're that stressed and you feel like you're going to endangering yourself or maybe endangering someone else, call 988, the suicide helpline. So those are things that we can all do as citizens, as friends, as neighbors, as family, to maybe help reduce the ideations, help reduce the stress, or identify where help is accessible for the stress that one's encountering.
That is so spot on. Such great advice. We're chatting with Major General Alfred Flowers. He's the board chair for Reach Resilience. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by my co-host, Isha Walia. What I love what you said on there. We have a lot of folks who've been doing this for 17 years. As you know, Major General, we have a lot of people in the mental health space. And you said something that we say all the time, and I hope I live to this day, is going to be when there's no stigma for mental health. You are so spot on. We think nothing. We broke our arm, we're going to get a cast on it. Okay, good. Mental health, what's wrong? I go, there's nothing wrong. Okay, are you kidding me? You're going to get help the same way. And coming from people like you, true heroes, true leaders, it's okay when it comes from your voice. It is okay to admit you got something. Now let's get some help. But you brought up something also. I want to get back to the evidence-based thing because I couldn't agree with it more. That it's either within 5 minutes or 60 minutes. Okay. And if you get that, I love that thing about the safe storage. You know what? Maybe it's going to take a little bit longer because we have the ammunition, maybe different from where the actual gun or the rifle, whatever is at. So spot on in those things. Isha, I know you got a question for the Major General on what we can do to help.
Yeah, how can our listeners support?
Well, what listeners can do is, see something, say something. Pay attention of what's going on around you, what's going on at home with the family, what's going on in the workplace. Oftentimes there's evidence of stress, and there's evidence of extreme stress to the point where someone may hurt themselves. Sometimes you don't know. I've had suicide cases on active duty in the military where someone died by suicide, and there was no indication whatsoever that we could find. And we looked hard every time. But some of them, we just couldn't find any indications that the individual may be at a point where they would hurt themselves. But it happened. But, if you see something, say something. If you know something, more importantly, say something. Sometimes we know that someone is experiencing stress. Someone may be unemployed. There may be a food challenge with feeding your family, or there may be a relationship challenge. If we know about these things, don't just ignore them and say, well, they'll find a job soon, or, someone will help. That someone could be us if we're the ones that are encountering it. So that's how we can help as individuals. Pay attention, see something, say something, and more importantly, do something.
No, that's great. How do folks get a hold of Reach Resilience? Is there a website to support your efforts?
Yes, reachresilience.org is how you get a hold of Reach Resilience. And for those that might be interested in becoming donors to Face the Fight, there's a website for that also. It's wefacethefight.org. And if there are those that request to join the team of Face the Fight or more information, please go to USAA space DSP at ElizabethDoleFoundation.org. And you can get information on all of us through those three websites.
Well, listen, what an honor it is to have you on this very, very important topic. I know our listeners are going to enjoy this podcast, Isha, without question. There's some great content you provided. And again, it's just been an honor chatting with you. What we would love to do is have you come back on somewhere down the road and talk about how Face the Fight's doing. What's it doing? What else can we do to support it? What do you think about that? You want to come back on?
Absolutely. We'd love to do it. I want to take every opportunity that I'm presented with and everyone that I can find to talk about this American problem, not the VA, the DOD, and DSO problem. This is our problem as citizens. And we've got to take care of the folks that have taken care of us and defended this great mission of ours. Would love to come back.
Well, you will absolutely be on. We can't wait to do that. So, Major General, thank you so much for telling the story of Reach Resilience.
Well, thank you, Drew. Thank you, Isha, and all the best to both of you.
Absolutely. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, now the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 17th year, chatting with Major General Alfred Flowers, the board chair of Reach Resilience. Go look that organization up, doing great things to reduce veteran suicide. Isha, another great program. Hope you enjoyed it.
I did. It was an amazing program.
We're good. We hope our listeners did too. Thanks so much for listening.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.